Hello, fellow toolboxers, and welcome to episode 292 of the Immigration Lawyers Podcast. It's an interview with our wonderful colleague, Marina Shepelsky. We're going into how she started her office, kind of like a founder's background, and also the marketing aspect for her business, which is where I connected with her first. We were on a panel at AILA about social media marketing. If you didn't visit us and you have the recordings, definitely check it out. I think it's one of the best panels in all of AILA. I say that humbly. But I've been listening to all the recordings. I'm like, we did a pretty good job during our panel session. So I want to thank everyone on the panel, and I'm going to try to have everyone on. But I jumped on this Marina because she has a TikTok page. It's very powerful. It's boosted her law firm, and it makes it a really good operation. So this is really a two-parter. There's a podcast component you're listening to now, which is our interview about her firm in the background. There's a lot of things you can learn from that. But then we separately recorded another half an hour. That's about how she does TikTok to help her marketing and lead generation for her law firm. And if you're an immigration lawyer, you can watch that by joining the circle.so community. It's free. You just have to, send me your email and I'll give you the login info. You get an email to log in and you can watch that marketing video. We're going to have a series of marketing videos about different aspects of immigration law, interviewing immigration lawyers, what they do, and other professionals who know these fields, both in marketing, business operations, all these different things. There's a big push towards expanding people's law firms to become better. I'm going to help you in that process. I'm going to be going and having an interview with Ruby Power soon and being on her show to talk about, practice management and what we're learning there. So there's a lot of stuff to make you a better immigration attorney, a better business owner that's coming. So that's what this interview is about. And so enjoy it. Have a good time. You're going to learn a lot from it. I sure did. And speaking of learning a lot of stuff, Immigration Lawyers Toolbox Magazine is out, issue number 7. Check that out. I want to thank our sponsor there, DocuWise, who's also a sponsor of these series of podcasts. DocuWise is all-in-one form software that is able to help people manage their firms, better manage their firms, better manage their cases. All-in-one software that keeps being updated and great things being added to it. So check it out at DocuWise.com. You can do a test trial if you like and talk to their salespeople. Just go to DocuWise.com and talk with them. You'll get a lot of information there. Now, if you're interested in learning about marriage immigration, because you have a lot of people here that want to become immigration attorneys, or they have new associates and they don't have time to train them, we have a course that goes over what 212 admissibility is, what the 245 statute goes for adjustment of status, consular processing, how to do it, how to fill it out, all that kind of stuff. We do it for you. It's a course. We're revamping it to a new edition of it, so you're going to really like that. If you're interested, email us at info@immigrationlawyerstoolbox.com, and you can get that stuff going to really boost your practice and take things to the next level. And having said all that, wherever you're watching this, leave a comment, a 5-star comment. We love it to help support the podcast. And with that, let's jump into it. I don't think we're talking about any legal stuff, so I don't necessarily need to give a disclaimer, but just in case, all this is general education only, not intended for individual legal guidance. And with that, let's get the show started. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us for this episode. Our guest today, if you have TikTok, you've seen her before. It's Marina Shepelsky, a great colleague we're on a panel together for the AILA conference talking about social media marketing. So I said, let's definitely have her on board and so people get to know her better and her background. So Marina, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much. I'm very happy to be here.
I appreciate it. So give a little background, where you're from and how you got into immigration law.
I was born in Kiev, Ukraine, during the time it was still part of the Soviet Union. And we came here as Jewish refugees in 1989 with my family. So I was actually an immigrant myself, and I became naturalized to U.S. citizenship sometime, I think, in 1995, when I was already in college. I went to high school in Brooklyn, then I went to college at NYU. I finished NYU with a degree in biology. At that time, I wanted to heal people and be a doctor. But I sort of changed my mind as I went along, and I went to Fordham Law School in New York. When I came out of law school, I was kind of lost. I didn't know what type of law I would what do I want to do? What kind of law do I want to pick? At first, I worked a little bit in intellectual property, licensing, pharmaceutical stuff, and then I went on my own. I started my practice, I think, 1 year of law school. It was insane, but I jumped right in. And I started doing real estate and immigration right away. But at first, I was very careful with the kinds of immigration cases I would pick because I was afraid to mess up someone's life.
Yeah.
The reason I picked immigration is because I felt very close to my clients, like we really clicked. And I felt like we have so much in common. I was still an immigrant. I was still pretty recent in the US when I started to practice law. I think I was only here for like 11 years when I started to practice law here. So I still connect to that experience of coming here. Everything is so new. You don't know the language. You don't understand how this legal system works on
Yeah.
top of the immigration legal system. So the reason I got into it is because like it was really my people. Like I felt like I'm helping my people. I connected to the immigrants on a very personal level. So that's how I got into it. And with the time, I started to do more VAWAs, abuse cases,
Yeah.
adjustment of status, marriage cases, asylum. And at this point, we do pretty much the entire gamut, really, of immigration law from family cases, asylum cases, VAWA, abuse cases, humanitarian cases, to more extraordinary ability, work visas, and work green cards, and so on.
What tools did you have to learn this stuff as you're picking up different sub practice areas within immigration?
uh Tools, going to conferences, reading a lot, speaking to my colleagues a lot.
Yeah.
I remember in the early days I had my friend who was more experienced than me prepare me for an individual hearing with immigration court. He coached me what to say and what I should ask the client, and what if they say this and what if they say that. Lots of trial and error too, but I can say that I never screwed up somebody's case because I missed a deadline or something like that.
Yeah. That's good. So
So
yeah, the
super
importance of the colleague aspect, just like between conferences and having like a mentor or something you can ask it. Immigration, you kind of always want to ask somebody because you never there's so many million nuances and like little things that you need someone just to confirm when you're starting.
I've had multiple mentors. I continue to have mentors. I continue to ask questions. Thank God for the social media because now there's so many Facebook groups where I can go and ask. There's serve list where you can email your question. I always answer people's questions as much as I can when I have time. I'm always here to mentor people. I mentor people all the time. So it's like the circle of life. You were mentored, you have to be open to that in this area because it's so complex.
Now, when you first started, like when did you start your own office? What year was it?
2004.
2004. So how did you get business pre social media days?
Referrals, I told all my friends and relatives, and also I used to advertise in the Russian language newspaper.
Mm.
I had a tiny little ad with my phone number, and I advertised like real estate because I did learn for 1 year that I worked at a firm how to do closing.
Hmm.
And I learned a little bit about litigation and immigration. I figured out on my own. Really, I just like read the instructions. Google things. Google was already a thing in 2004, and I learned how to do things.
A quick note for people who don't know: in New York, if you're closing a real estate deal, you have to have a lawyer involved. Whereas, like
I,
California, you don't need to do that. So there's automatic work for lawyers like that.
I was like a title closer, a
Yeah,
closing agent for banks. Sometimes I got to like meet a lot of people. I had to network and network and network, constantly be meeting people, and that's like what I can recommend to new attorneys. Don't be afraid to just go out there and talk to people. You never know how this will pay it
yeah,
forward. Just go and tell people like, oh, by the way, I'm an attorney. I do closings. You know anybody who's selling or buying and needs an attorney? But also think about like who is the kind of person to refer to you over and over again.
mhm,
Like I know accountants who sometimes send me cases. For real estate, I went and met like brokers and real estate sales agents, and sometimes they were new too. So I would say, hey, you're new, I'm new, let's work together.
definitely. And what was going to say? So okay, so you developed your firm, word of mouth kind of thing. What was the thing that made you make the decision to just focus on immigration? Because I know a lot of people have a hard time. They're like, oh, I want to do this just in case and stuff. What made you pull a trigger and just focus on one thing?
Well, at this point in time, we do two things. We do immigration and New York and New Jersey divorces. So
Mhm.
I got into divorce law the same way, sort of, as I got into immigration because I got divorced. And truly, this is how it happened. I was afraid to touch it because it gave me the heebie-jeebies. Like it gave me like a bad feeling.
Yeah.
When I got divorced and I went through it and I realized it's not as bad or scary as I thought, I said, okay, I'll start to do uncontested, very simple divorces where people agreed. Then I moved on and I realized, oh, there's software out there that can help me with the
Yeah.
forms. Then I moved on to more complex and more complex. Over time, we started to do contest, like even now, we do contested divorces with kids, with assets, with complicated, procedural questions and stuff like that. Now, at some point, I had to let go of a lot of other things I used to do along the way. I used to do Social Security disability hearings quite a lot in the beginning because I would take cases that I knew a little bit about and just, work on them and win them because you have to have confidence in what you know and what
Yeah.
you learn, that you're just a good attorney. But again, if you go to court as an immigration lawyer, you could handle administrative law for like Social Security or something like
Yeah.
that too. You get used to that mind frame. Oh, this is admin law. Like, okay, there's a statute, there's some examples. Anyway, at some point I realized that my time is my resource. So I have to start like rationing my personal time. I hired an associate. That was like my first step. We
Yeah.
hired a couple of paralegals. I said, okay, now what do I want to concentrate my time on? Well, immigration pays more than real estate closings.
Mhm.
So my time spent on and real estate was extremely, it still is very stressful. So there's deadlines, people have to close before a date that's in the
Yeah.
contract. The mortgage loan expires, the rate expires, people are not making their title conditions. And this is super stressful, especially when somebody is buying new construction. Oh my
Mhm.
God, I went through so much with that. So I said, all right, let me start rationing my time. And eventually I realized my time spent on real estate closings is just not worth, and the stress and the malpractice insurance. And I've been sued a couple of times, not because of my own fault, but people did bad things and somehow I was involved and I had no idea. So I was like, all right, this is not the kind of thing that I should be spending my time on as a business owner. It's the business. So you want to grow the thing that pays more and
Mhm.
you put in less of yourself into and stress. And, I always liked immigration. It really is a great area. So with time, like now, I just refer the real estate closings out, even though sometimes my old clients will say, can you do my closing, Marina? I really just want you. I would say, I have a great colleague. Sometimes I even confer with her from if I have questions, let her handle your closing.
Where was the stage, or I mean, how big or how busy were you when you made the move to hire an associate, which is a big ticket item to have on the team?
I'm a mom, and I had my child just when I opened my firm. That year was like a big
Wow.
year. 2004 is when I had a baby, and when I opened my firm. So I had like two kids at the same time, my law office and my baby. By the time she was like, I think 2 or 3, I realized there's only so much that I can do myself. I need help. So I hired an associate and I paid an associate, even sometimes when I didn't pay myself,
Yeah.
because I invested in the future of my firm. I invested in motherhood because I needed time to be
Yeah.
with my kids sometimes and take her to things. And I needed another, a responsible person in the office who can make decisions if I'm out of the office, if I'm traveling, if there's an urgent court hearing scheduled. So that was like around, I would say, 3 years after I opened my own office is when I hired my first associate.
Wonderful. And what does the team look like now?
Now I have 3 full-time associates. I have like a really good senior paralegal who's, like if I didn't know, I would think she's an attorney. The only thing is
Yeah.
she doesn't go to court. Really knowledgeable. She works from Texas with us remotely.
Mhm.
And then we have maybe like 6 full-time paralegals, 4 people who do reception work slash sales,
Mhm.
one like manager, and she does payroll and paying bills, and like she helps me with a lot of our organizational stuff. And she has one assistant who like does retainers and sends out bills and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And we have a couple of other people who work part-time remotely for us doing different things.
For the paralegals, do you have it where each attorney has like two paralegals they solely work with, or is it like a rotation, or how do you, what's really, how does that work?
We've tried different things. And we ended up with people like specializing. So like one person would be really good at asylum. So we have a couple of people who only do asylum. We
Hmm.
have one paralegal dedicated to collecting all the documents for a new client, like doing questionnaires with the client, getting all their documents uploaded into our software portal.
Hmm.
Uh, following up on documents and stuff like that. So we have
Yeah.
one person fully dedicated just for that. And then we do have people like some attorneys sharing some paralegals because the paralegal would specialize in something.
Yeah.
We have one paralegal who does only divorce. She doesn't do the immigration stuff.
Hmm.
So it's like sort of a hybrid situation where some attorneys are sharing a couple of paralegals. One person is only working with one associate who wants to do divorces. So we only have one,
Yeah.
and so it's like that.
And you said you have like a receptionist sales. So if someone contacts your office, do they first, they talk with the person who could just get the basic information collected, or how does that work out?
Well, they usually call and they will start off with, "Is this Marina?" And no, it's not Marina. It's a male person answering the phone. That should tip
Yeah.
you off. And then they'll say, "I just have a quick question for Marina." Then they'll say they have a script. So my receptionist slash sales team has a script. So they say, "Is this an immigration or a divorce matter? What
Yeah.
state do you live in?" And then of course they let the person say what is their question, and then they say, "Okay, well you have to schedule a paid consultation." And then they say, "How much is it?" And then they explain, "Marina, this is higher rate per
Yeah.
hour for the consultation. The associates is lower." But we also have an option for like a quick sort of intake with a paralegal, which is much cheaper than even the attorneys. That basically will let the person say, "Okay, I have like," and we have like sort of scripts for these paralegals to say, "Okay, if this person has X, Y, Z, they could be eligible for VAWA or asylum."
Yeah.
And then the attorney will talk to them, and the attorney will sign them up and do the retainer and so on.
And we're in the process of creating like that sort of same sort of system because I just had team develop, and I'm like, yeah, that's the direction from testing different things. It seems like it's going to go to. Now, do you use any particular technology and stuff to kind of keep organized and track what's going on?
Of course, we have Clio, and we have the Clio Managed that just keeps track of all the clients and their phone numbers and addresses, all their documents, all communications go in there. I make everyone keep track of their time, whatever activity anybody's doing on a case. We record it with time.
Hmm.
And in addition to that, we have Clio Grow that where we enter the leads. So this is where somebody who just calls us wants to know about a consultation. The first thing they do is they get entered in there by the sales team.
Yeah.
And then we have reports every 30 days for the attorney's consultations. And I will have like people cross read each other's consultations and follow up with the people with the potential clients who did not become clients. So
Yeah.
they have a consult, but it never materialized into a retainer. So sometimes, like I usually do my own, but then the other people like will cross
Yeah.
call others and say, "I'm the other attorney in the office. Maybe there was something you didn't like speaking to so
Sure.
and so.
That's
I
smart.
reviewed your notes with Marina. We think you have a great case. Let's
Hmm.
see if we can help you." Stuff like that.
For business management, did you take any courses or anything like that, or books that stood out?
I personally never did, and I regret this really a lot. I regret the fact that I never learned this in school. Not that you could like teach this in school, but
Yeah.
at least the basic principles. So when I really got serious about running my own practice as a business, I found Ali Lozano, Alexandra Lozano. She's a fellow attorney in the state of Washington,
Just
and
two
she
books
wrote
on the subject, I think.
yeah, and she mostly works with women attorneys, which I am, and I always like that. And she wrote a book, and I mean, some people will say, "Oh, I don't know if these ideas are her ideas." Whatever. She wrote a book, and it's
Yeah.
called "Be the CEO of Your Own Law Firm." So that's why I started. The book was super simple. I read the book and I loved it, and I started talking to her on Facebook. And it so happens that as I started to implement some of these basic principles, like run it like it's a business, You should have statistics of things. That took a long time to set up.
Yeah.
Supporting every client who called or potential client.
Yeah.
Having statistics, how many called, how many converted into a consultation, how many consultations converted into a paying case. That took like a couple of years to set up, getting staff to agree to do this because they were
A lot of
resisting.
work. Yeah. It's just
And
a
I
hard
had to
thing. Yeah.
change staff. I had to get rid of some people who didn't want to follow my like vision, and that
Yeah.
was hard. I had to really get organized. We had to sign up for, cloud, cloud software to save our files. It took a long time. It was a lot of work. And I also worked with a business coach on one-on-one.
Nice.
We would just go over this as a vision for my life. What do I want to do?
Yeah.
Firm for all the departments, and I'm still working on it.
Yeah.
It's a work in progress. I never ever stop working on it.
Are there any particular KPIs or statistics that you use to gauge success, failure, how employees are doing that stands out?
Um, we're working on getting a better system of that, but I mean, we look at the time they spend on
Yeah.
tasks, and everyone gets assigned tasks now through the system. And we look at like mostly like how much time it takes them to process a case, to work on a case, how much time they spend out of their work day working. And you could see because I make everyone keep track of their time. That's usually more or less what we look at, but I'm still trying to do like better
The
than
hard one, because I
gauging.
read these business books keep saying do this, KPIs, and this and that. I'm like, what are specific immigration stuff? I instituted very recently the time tracking on specific cases. And I saw like one employee who's not with us anymore now was taking like 9 hours to do something that should be like 2 hours. And I was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
like what? How's that possible? So I-75 was really basic. Why is it taking 9 hours to do that?
And you have to explain to them why you're like not happy with it. I had one case where it was a really difficult EB2 case, and they changed the strategy a few times along the way, but the client also took some time getting the documents. And when I looked at the total time we spent on it, I think it was like 140
Wow.
hours.
Yeah.
And I had like a really serious conversation with the associate and the paralegal aside. I said, "You guys lost me money on this. You
Yeah.
have to understand we're not just doing this because we love this client and he paid us a few dollars. We're
Yeah.
doing this as part of a business. You have other cases you should be working on. You took way too much time. This is very bad. And like I said, you might not be eligible for a bonus now at the
Yeah.
end of the quarter or whatever, because we have like a bonus system." So, and I had instituted like a bonus system for consultations for the lawyers too. And we figured out what's like sort of the average. And if they go over the average, they get like a bonus based on how many consultations they signed up over the minimum. So
Yeah.
it's like that.
Has that ever led to them signing up cases that you wouldn't normally want just because they want to get the bonus or the
Oh,
incentive? Okay. Because I'm
not
going
at all.
right now to what is the bonus structure? That's like we'll talk more about it. We don't have too much time. We're gonna do a recording about TikTok. We'll have to probably reschedule because there's so much good information coming. I'm like, I want to keep this conversation going. The bonus thing too. We'll talk more about it. Later too privately. But
Sure.
I have all these questions. What do you do for culture wise to keep things? Is everyone coming in office? You have one employee in Texas that's remote. Is everyone else in office?
No, we have a few people who are like hybrid. We have definitely the one person I mentioned is actually she's remote, but we also have one person remote who does like posting on our website. I will write a blog item or something will come up in the news. I will say, can you
Yeah.
post on this? So she's fully remote too. So we have like three people who work with us who are fully remote, and a lot of other people here are either fully in person or hybrid. Like
Mhm.
some days they come to the office, some days they work from home.
So, I know you had to leave for consultation. I want to get this in that we're going to have a separate recording about your TikTok marketing because we didn't get into the fact that you're a top marketing person. The main thing I got into the stuff I want to know from my business perspective because I'm trying to develop my firm. But
So I
you're
wear two hats. I wear the CEO hat here. That's like my main, this is how I see myself. And my main function here is twofold. One is the CEO, so I run the show. And number two is the marketing person. So I'm the chief marketing person here, hands down. Everything else I was able to delegate more or less except for those two functions. And I hope when I grow up, I can even delegate those two. But we can talk about that later.
Let's just talk about the marketing as a teaser for people to go watch the rest of it and record it. But like your marketing machine is huge, and it's probably too big as it seems because there's so much going on in there. But you have a marketing company that helps you. But how many channels do you have currently?
So I decided to do two languages, right? So I couldn't just do English because I
Yeah.
have a lot of Russian speaking clients and I speak Russian because I grew up in the Soviet Union. So we ended up setting up one YouTube in Russian, one YouTube channel in Russian, one YouTube channel in English, one Instagram in Russian, one Instagram in English. Then TikTok, I have two accounts in English and one in Russian. The reason I have two English speaking accounts is because one was banned early on because I had no idea that on TikTok you couldn't disclose your phone number on the screen and in the video. So I
Yeah.
kept getting violations over and over again. I didn't understand why they were like giving me violations. At some point, I got so many, I got banned.
Hmm.
That's why I had to start a new account. I was so upset.
Oh,
I
wow.
was super depressed about it. At the time, they gave me back my original account. So I'm now growing those two accounts in English, and now, like recently, I opened the Russian-speaking one, and that was a hard decision for me too because Russian commenters are rough, man.
Yeah.
They're not like the English-speaking people. They're really tough, and they give the most negative comments sometimes. And they're very straightforward. They'll tell me I'm fat, I'm ugly, I don't know
Oh
anything.
my.
They argue with me. They say, why don't you? They'll say like real lawyers don't market on TikTok. I mean, I've had to grow a thick skin, man.
Yeah.
I really did to do this. But this is for our firm. This is for my family. Like
Yeah.
I'm very motivated, so I don't care. I'm a unique kind of person, like all of us are.
Yeah.
I'm a unique kind of lawyer, like all of us are. And there's an audience for me, and it's growing the Russian
Mhm.
account. So,
I
but
love it. Yeah.
it's really hard. Some days I want to cry from the comments that I
Oh,
read, but
it's tough. Yeah.
never anything like that. Never, never, and I mean it in the English speaking account. People will never say you're fat, you're ugly, you shouldn't be here, you're all fraud, you should be home, and things like that.
Well,
Never.
I had my questions right here. I didn't get a chance to ask you because we're running out of time too. But how do you deal with your own community? Because usually lawyers don't want to, a lot of times don't want to take cases from clients in their own community because there's a big headache and expectations and discounts and drama that comes with that. I even stopped my marketing in certain language and hid my page on my website for Iranian cases for many years because it was just free advice. Oh, you don't want to help people. It's like, dude, I have a business. I can't just give away everything free, like take phone calls. So how did you come to terms with that by creating these channels and stuff?
I had to learn the hard way that yes, my people gave me like a good start in the beginning,
Yeah.
but if you really want to grow, you have to grow beyond your community. I stopped giving away almost anything for free, with the exception now with sometimes when the Ukrainian people write to me, I
Yeah.
will do things for free because I feel like they have so much they're
Yeah.
dealing with right now. If I can, I do give them like free sort of information. Let's put it
Yeah.
this way. And if it gets more complicated, I say, please schedule a paid consult. So the first rule is never to do a free consultation. As soon as you learn how to do even something basic, like filing for NAP or adjustment of status, you should not be giving a free consultation. The end.
Hmm.
You know, that will weed out people who are not serious. Um, and then you have to keep talking about your education. Like for me, I grew up here. English is equal to me as Russian.
Yeah.
I dream in both languages. So I'll say, look, I'm an American attorney. I have to follow the ethics rules and everything,
Exactly. Yeah.
American legal system. And the fact that I speak your language doesn't make me any worse than your typical
Yeah.
American attorney. If anything, it makes me better because I actually can speak to you in your language.
Yeah.
So you have to feel that within yourself. Like you have to have a good like self-image and like really be confident in what you bring to the table. Even if you only know about two things, like adjustment of status and that, you're good at that. Most people don't know even basics. This is what I learned from marketing. Most people watching us don't even know things like what is an advance parole?
Yeah.
What's an employment authorization? What does it mean to work illegally? Who is illegal? Most people have no idea. So the fact that we have this specialized knowledge means we should charge for it. We shouldn't give it away for free.
Well, Maria, I know you got to go right now. We'll schedule another time today or soon to do the recording. I just was, I have such a great conversation. I love that I got to know you during the conference. Got to know you so much better than just, flipping through to TikTok. I would see you, but it was just another lawyer I'm seeing and stuff. But through this process, I love working with you and talking with you. So we'll connect. But thanks so much for coming on and sharing all this wisdom with our audience.
Thank you. And I love meeting you and Fiona and Aggie. I love that there's other people like myself out there that we share in this plight and also the benefits of being, immigration attorneys. I love sharing my knowledge. Sometimes my parents, they're like super superstitious. So they'll say to me, why are you always telling people your secrets, how you
Yeah,
do things?
my
Because there's
dad
no
is
secret or luck.
yeah.
This is hard work.
Yeah.
I work at this every day, even on weekends. I'm recording my videos. I'm thinking about my next step at work. Every January, I plan for the year ahead and for every month, for every quarter. This is hard work. Let someone else, like you and me, come and walk in our shoes. Good luck with that.
Yeah, yeah. Just this planning that I'm getting more and more into it. It's a whole thing to do that. But I love it. If people don't know, we did a panel at the conference in Orlando about social media marketing. The people who bought it, who listened to the recording, I'm sure a lot of people are going to do that. It was well received panel. But Maria, thank you so much. I'll be in touch soon. We'll record it at a time. But I love having you on. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Speak soon.
Talk
Bye
soon.
bye.
Have you ever felt that the road to establishing a successful immigration law firm is riddled with unexpected obstacles and setbacks? I've been there, and I'm here to tell you, you are not alone. Picture this. My wife, then girlfriend, and I had just landed for a vacation, only to be greeted by a voicemail that changed everything. In an instant, once the plane landed, she lost her job. The very one job that was supposed to support us while I launched my own solo immigration law firm. Suddenly, our financial cushion vanished, and I was thrust into the high-stakes world of entrepreneurship with no safety net. Despite a slow start and a discouraging lack of leads and referrals, I remained determined to build a law firm that provided a 5-star client experience. After countless hours spent researching, watching, and implementing marketing strategies with mixed results, I eventually began to see my firm's revenues not only surpass my previous revenue and salary as an associate, but double it. Today, I run a successful law firm with a team of associates and support staff, and I'm the proud founder of the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox magazine, podcasts, courses, workshops, and more. But my journey wasn't easy. I made many mistakes, wasted time and money, and wished I had a mentor to guide me through the challenges. Although I was fortunate enough to find a few peers who offered support, I couldn't shake the feeling that there had to be a better way. That's why I decided to be the change I'd wish I'd seen. This month, I'm thrilled to announce the launch of the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox private mentorship and peer group. This exclusive group is designed to bring solo and small firm practitioners in a monthly, private, and intimate setting to openly discuss business strategies, share successes, even exchange invaluable tactics that they wouldn't share anywhere else. By joining this premium group, you'll not only benefit from my hard-earned expertise, but also forging long-lasting relationships with like-minded professionals who are committed to elevating their practices. Space is limited for this game-changing opportunity. If you're ready to make a real, lasting impact on your business, simply email me at info@immigrationlawyerstoolbox.com. Again, that's info@immigrationlawyerstoolbox.com. And I'll send you all the information you need to get started. Don't miss this chance to transform your immigration law firm and reach new heights of success.